Gibraltar is both universal and local, both macroscopic and microscopic. Gibraltarians shared the global experience of the coronavirus outbreak, yet the rock's unique culture and geography shaped their distinct path through the pandemic. Gibraltar became one of the first countries on the planet to fully vaccinate its adult population. As masks are discarded, restrictions lifted, and sporting events resume, Gibraltar has become a test bed for the return to normal. History is still unfolding, but 1 year on, Gibraltarians are telling their stories of life in the bubble. When the schools in Gibraltar closed down, classrooms and playgrounds became eerily silent. Children too had to stay at home. They couldn't see their grandparents, cousins, aunties and uncles. They couldn't play with their friends. Each child coped differently. Some took easily to online learning and entertaining themselves. Others really struggled with boredom and isolation. Lockdown dragged on, and parents juggled work and homeschooling. Now, children too are telling their stories of life in the bubble.
When I first heard of the coronavirus, I didn't think it would affect us so bad. I thought it's dangerous. I thought it was dangerous, but I didn't think it would affect us like this. I think coronavirus affected me quite bad because I was a little bit mad that I couldn't go to the street, and I was just tired being at home and doing seesaw every day. And then when you finish seesaw, then you just do nothing or just sit down and watch a movie or do anything. So I just got bored.
Well, we were normal, and then, there was this virus in the world, and it started going to different places. It started by what people say in China, and then it started spreading around the world. We all had to go in quarantine in our houses.
The teacher knows it better than my mum and dad, because my mum and dad, I'm sure, know it different ways, and the teacher knows it other ways. And anyways, it's more difficult for my mum and dad to understand what I'm doing now. And many times they would have to go on internet and check.
What I miss the most is not being able to see my family, other members of my family, like my grandmother and my grandpa. So, because they live in Scotland and they're in lockdown right now, and I can't go and see them. And that's what I basically miss more.
Virus. You need to be protected for the virus. Need the vax and mask forever. Lena.
Yes?
I want to the coronavirus can go.
Why?
So I can go to the park and visit my family.
I don't know. It has been a really strange year.
We do not yet fully understand how the pandemic has impacted children. Kids can be resilient, but worry and isolation, perhaps sickness and grief, are big things to deal with. In modern times, we've become accustomed to living without the threat of widespread disease. Parents and teachers did not have their own experiences to draw on.
Together, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. On
How do you tell a child that a dangerous virus is spreading around them? That a hug is a risk? How do you explain why everyone is suddenly wearing scary-looking masks?
They're obviously quite worried because some of them are at home, some of them have been coming to school, some of them are still at school and their parents have told them that they need to continue going to school. So knowing that the school is closed, they're worried as to where they're going to go on Monday because we're still unsure as to what's happening. So yeah, a lot of questions coming from the children, teachers and parents. Obviously we've got loads of parents calling on a daily basis and it's understandable. We've tried to support and guide them and advise them as best as we can.
If I think back to when it all started, I think it was on a Friday in March, where the kids left, they went home and they didn't come back till 9 weeks after that, the first lockdown.
Keep washing your hands.
This has been an exponential learning curve for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think from our first lockdown, that is one of the things we learned is the reliance on the online learning platform to progress in learning and to communicate with our students.
And I'm the deputy head teacher of the Hebrew school, and our school in many ways has pioneered the CISO platform that was used for the contingency learning. And one memory that I do have of the very beginning of all this COVID episode was we had the iPads from many different schools on that Friday afternoon because we were setting them up, helping our colleagues in other schools how to run the program, how to set up the program. And we knew the schools weren't opening the following week, only that we, the teachers, had to go in on the Monday, waiting to see what was going to happen. And if I remember correctly, it was on that same Monday or the Tuesday, the facility at St. Dan's, Notre Dame and Bayside and Westside was set up.
They start the morning with a check-in with the teachers. As we explained, the teachers have all been arranged on a rota system to cover the 4 different schools that are open. We've got Westside, we've got St. Martin's, we've got St. Dan's here and Notre Dame, and then a rotation also of teachers at home to interact with the children there during the course of the whole day, and yet another group of teachers who have been working on online activities, because we are not trying to replicate the classroom scenario, because imagine, for example, in the sense of any subject, be it history, maths, whatever, if we can't just have teachers downloading to children all the notes and everything required, and then nobody at home to support them, and the anxiety and stress that will cause. So we have to strike a very fine balance in moving ahead and also supporting them by providing key learning skills within their own curriculum areas.
So a key focus in school will be on rebuilding relationships and establishing routines. Schools will work sensitively with the aim of establishing a firm basis for children from which they can move on. We are acutely aware that the impact of the lockdown will have been even greater for those with special needs. School closures will have had an impact on their learning, as will issues of being or not being in school, managing change, routines, and anxieties. The transition of these children will need to be managed and enhanced sensitively.
Now, when you're talking about education online as opposed to education in the classroom, I think in a scenario such as ours, as a special school, there is a vast difference. Our children are more used to, and in fact they need more of a hands-on education. It's more of an interactive education between the staff and the children. And to try to replicate that online is very difficult.
No one should believe, as we start to take these steps out of lockdown, that there will be a return to normality anytime soon. That will certainly not happen. I reiterate that return will be slow and it will be gradual. That is how we best protect those attending our schools and the community at large. That remains our priority. That remains our focus.
And we come today to the key issue of schools, where we've been consistently advised. And of course, this does mean that exams will not take place as planned in May and June, though we will make sure that pupils get the qualifications they need and deserve for their academic career.
As I have relatively high predicted grades, I think it does work in my favour. However, you do have a lot of people, and I think this counts for the majority, who don't work throughout the 2 years of studying. They don't put in as much time and effort into their work. So, but when it gets to the final couple of months before the exam, they start feeling the pressure. They start getting nervous, and they pick up their work and they start performing to their true potential.
A lot of people, when they were given their predicted grades, have been working much harder since then and know that they could get maybe 1 grade above what they were given. So in cases like that, I do think that the grade should be reassessed. I think people should have an opportunity to be able to say, look, you gave me these grades a couple of months ago, but now I've worked a lot harder and I know I can do better than this. So I really think that as a whole, all of the predicted grades would have to be reassessed.
I would like to take my exams on a later date rather than just get my predictions or whatever is going to happen, because after studying for these 2 years, like, I've put in so much work for now just to be cancelled and just get your predictions. I mean, yes, I've got my predictions because of the hard work that I've put in, but at the same time I want to prove to everyone that I can get my grades, and I want to prove to myself as well that I can get my grades or overachieve. I am anxious at the moment. I do understand that. I put it into perspective of everything that is going on.
I am really worried that this will affect my future, in the sense that if, for example, this pandemic stops me from being able to go to university in September, that means an entire year of my life essentially is taken away. So that means that I have to spend an entire year kind of looking for things to do instead of going to university, which is really upsetting.
When we first opened the gates and asked them to come up, they were a little bit shocked that we were saying social distancing, and some of the comments, but we're together, we come in together, but we say, but we have to abide by the guidelines. And actually what we were really impressed, and you've seen when you come in, that once we gave the instructions and told them why we wanted them to adhere to these rules, they were really good.
A lot of them have been a little bit subdued to start, maybe a little shy, because after so many weeks at home and probably not seeing many of them physically, they feel it, and I think initially they were a little bit quiet.
What we've done, what the Department of Education has put into place, is a transition curriculum which will focus on making sure that they are ready primarily socially and emotionally for their move to middle school. So there is a unique curriculum that has been put into place to make sure that their move to their feeder schools is positive.
We've been planning this for a number of weeks,
and we've got half a year group that came in this morning, another half year group that's coming this afternoon, which is about 100 students, just under. You know, school is open for business for year 10, and what we are encouraging that everybody comes in because it is a safe environment. There are cases with girls with extenuating circumstances, and for those, what we do is everything that is delivered during the day will be posted on our online platform. So the focus now is encouraging them to come back if it is safe for them to do so, because they may have some vulnerable adults at home. But we are really impressed because there's been excellent attendance today.
In between your fingers, 3, 2, 1, one more time and then we're done.
I'm feeling happy because I'm glad that my friends are all here, and I'm not glad because I can't go near them. Because if you go near people, then you'll get like sick and get their germs, and then they get your germs. Like during me and my friend not touching each other, only when you have masks, and yeah.
We would like to have all our year groups back starting in September, and as far as possible get used to the new normal. Yeah. But it's at the moment I'm kind of hopeful, but you know I've also have my reservations on that. Well, as far as our exam students, the year 11 and year 13 students, again for them this is unprecedented. So they will be getting the grades that they would normally have, or they would have probably obtained had they sat the exam. Obviously, we don't really know how they feel, but I'm pretty sure that they will feel a bit apprehensive because it's the first time, hopefully the last time, we'll have to go through this. But all I can say today is that I want to reassure them again that they will not be disadvantaged in any way.
It was quite stressful because we were told we would get our exam results around 9, but by the time I got it was 11:30, so I was quite concerned about it.
I've done really well and I'm very happy with my results. I got all 9s. And I more or less expected these grades as well, since we're getting teachers' predictions.
Overwhelmed, I've got 5 GCSEs, 1 9, 3 5s and 1 4.
I mean, for most of them I did a lot better than I thought I would. I got 4 8s, 4 7s and a 6.
But it's been a bit weird because it's like we're getting results for something we haven't actually sat, like we haven't sat any exams. But I'm quite happy with the outcome. I've passed everything.
But it's been quite strange.
And I'm happy that they've done the U-turn on the whole algorithm system, because they might not have met the middle ground to make it completely fair.
I was feeling all right when it first happened because I was like pretty confident that like I'd put in the hard work over the 2 years, but then once like obviously the A-level results came out, I was like I was bricking it, to be honest.
I think the research that's been done in the UK indicated that of the 5 million children they've had a total of 6 deaths, I think, in total, and 5 of them were in children that had previously quite severe underlying conditions. The chances of therefore having a really bad outcome is less than it's around 1 in a million. Your chances of getting knocked down on the road is higher. Your chances of going out to sea and having a misadventure are higher, and people are going to the beach, people are crossing roads all the time. It's about how we manage risk. So I would say in concert with the chief medical officers of the 4 home countries, get your children to school. I'm sure as parents you are desperate to get their education started again. I'm sure the children are desperate to learn again. I think their social groups, I'm advising Department of Education at the moment around what protocols they need to put in place, but generally my view is their social well-being will have a consequence for them for the whole of their lives, 70 plus years, and that will be far longer and more sustained than the fear from COVID.
I'm feeling a bit nervous, it's kind of strange. It's a strange feeling, just after 5 months of doing nothing and not going to school, and now everything is going back to as normal as it possibly can be. I'm feeling a bit weird, especially with rules like wearing masks. I don't think I'll be very comfortable with that, but I guess I'll have to live with it.
It's a lot different now because obviously like now we have to wear masks in school and like it's a whole different environment for everyone. So like I feel like everyone's going to be like a lot more nervous because it's like so uncertain. So like me myself, like I'm quite nervous to go back to school because it's all different and everything's changed. So like it's just a whole different atmosphere now and people don't know what's happening with like the school and exams and everything.
Many of my friends and other students are having to self-isolate for 2 weeks because of an outbreak within the uni and Manchester itself. The vast majority of my teaching is now online, which is already causing some problems as I'm finding it really difficult to connect with my teachers and other classmates.
Around 3 days ago, my 7 flatmates and I started to show some potential COVID symptoms, and yesterday we took the decision to go get tested, and later that evening we all got the text message from the NHS that we were positive for coronavirus. Obviously, no one wanted or anticipated a Freshers' Week like we're having this year.
There has been a lack in face-to-face communication and interaction between students and tutors. Besides this, a lot of support has been given to us through social media and online resources.
I've been very lucky in the sense that I haven't been directly affected by coronavirus. However, I know many people that have been and are currently self-isolating, which has made life here at university very different to what we're all used to.
We've just been told that we need to stay home these coming weeks and do all of our lectures and course online, and that eventually we will be going in, but every week there's just more cases that keep going up. At the moment we still don't even have timetables or really know what's going on, so we're just all very in the dark at the moment here in Northumbria.
All lectures are online on Zoom. Secondly, I'm set to attend the actual uni itself at least 4 times maximum. So other than that, I'm staying in the house with 8 other lads, all going on Zoom calls, which means all of us at once with a collective amount of 300 hours a week worth of lectures is just, it's horrible because all of us going on at once, the Wi-Fi isn't prioritized.
I did eventually develop some symptoms, and in fact I did contract the virus. Thank God they've not been too bad and I'm on the route to recovery, but isolation has allowed me to keep up with uni work. Everything's online, so I've not really missed out on much.
The advice to students is that they shouldn't be travelling to their permanent home and back to university. They should stay where they are, but the Department of Education is launching an information service for students. They're launching a phone number for students to contact, and they're asking students in particular to familiarise themselves with the advice being given by their university in their region, in their nation of the United Kingdom. There is no one-size-fits-all advice for Gibraltar students.
An exciting milestone in the university's history, really. And in the words of one of our Beacon professors, to have achieved our first graduation in 5 years is a real achievement. And 21 graduates who I think thoroughly enjoyed their opportunity to celebrate.
So after very lengthy discussions and carefully, we made a professional decision to advance and to progress the curriculum, to use asynchronous learning. We really felt that this was the best mechanism for families. It gave them the autonomy, the flexibility. We don't know what different families are like. In the second lockdown, my daughter was at home with me, so I was a parent working from home because the Chief Minister had made very clear that where possible, individuals should work from home to protect their community.
And to be honest, the difference between the first lockdown and the second one on a personal note was massive, because we had some structure. For me, for example, with 3 kids, having my own learning, my own teaching, the kids, the house and everything, just having that structure made it a lot more manageable, I would say.
I can think of one family in particular where the key workers were in the medical field, who were witnessing you know, very, very real and serious, soul-destroying situations in their medical field where there was a loss of life on a scale that they'd never experienced before, and feeling pressured to do online or contingency learning with their young children. And so in those conversations it was, do your best, you know, and we are here as a community. It's not a parent's responsibility in and of themselves to educate their youngsters or their children. It's the community's responsibility. We'll do it together. We'll pick up as best as we can when things get back to normal.
It feels like we haven't stopped since last March. I mean, there's always been issues in and out, and I mean, basically we haven't stopped working and adapting to, as you said, new policies, new guidelines.
So to think that learning was best with somebody speaking in a video and having a group of individuals all in their own space listening, or perhaps engaging remotely via some, you know, chat function or putting up their hand. Anybody, I think any parent who's been in a Zoom meeting and has experienced large Zoom meetings with the number of children that you would have in a classroom, so say 22 individuals, and all wanting to say something, speaking over each other, the connection being lost, people speaking at the same time. The reality is that a lot of time would have not been maximized in terms of its potential. So we really felt very strongly that the program that we put together was, in our professional opinion, the best.
I think we're now in a place where I think a lot of people are hopeful that we've gone over the worst of it and we're seeing a bit of sunlight, or rather light at the end of the tunnel. No? And I do hope, for the sake of the children, more than anything else, they get a decent summer, because I think they've deserved it. Not only have they worked hard at home, but they've had to go through a lot of upheaval this year. So hopefully the children of Gibraltar can enjoy their summer in as normal a way as possible. But we still need to keep aware of what's going on around us and not really dive in at the deep end too quickly. Because the last thing we want is to go back a few steps when we've come so far.
We just gave them hugs. I was learning about Africa. I was learning about everything of the world. I prefer learning at home. School in the classroom. At home. Because I could stay in my bed. Because I can learn a lot.
Now, Gibraltar is under the microscope, a test bed for the impact of community vaccination. The outcome is unknown, but there is talk of a return to normal, of hope. Gibraltarian stories of life in the bubble are part of a worldwide narrative, and that is a story that is still being written.